Trailblazers! Welcome to the Cast with Naya podcast, the space where we explore the challenges we face as young adults and youth, as well as uncover the pathway to self-development, personal triumphs, and the extraordinary stories that make each of us uniquely awesome. In this podcast, we spark conversations that matter, share stories that resonate, and provide insights that empower you on your journey. Whether you're a student, young professional, or someone in between, this is your space to explore, grow, and emerge as the best version of yourself.
Today's episode, we'll be discussing staying active as a creative. I'm sure this is a very sensitive and important topic, especially in the lives of creatives now, because I can imagine the burnout, the whole, exhaustion and everything that's going on right now in the industry. But still, how are we able to stay active as creatives? How are we able to, juggle a lot of activities and still deliver, to the audience? So that we'll find out in today's episode. For quality assurance purposes and audio fidelity, please note that this was recorded via Zoom. Our speaker today is a creative herself. She's a travel blogger, and she does that with a whole lot of storytelling. So I'll be reading her bio shortly. Do well to listen and stay tuned. Favor is a content marketing professional with a passion for travel and storytelling. She is currently on a mission to build a thriving community of adventure seekers in Nigeria through her blog, ejawele.com. She aims to inspire and inform others to explore the world around them and embrace new experiences. Beyond documenting her travels, she connects with fellow travelers and locals, weaving authentic stories that bridge the gap between cultures. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please join me as I welcome. I call her Ijawele. This is what she's saying. EJ baby. Ijawele. Thank you so much for joining the Cast with Naya podcast. So welcome. I'll call you Ijawele. Welcome Ijawele to the Cast with Naya podcast. I'm super excited, to have you on the show. It has been long coming. Finally, we have you on the show. And today we'll be discussing staying active as a creative. Going through your journey from how you started up until now, it has been a process and is really a wonderful sight. From the beginning up until now. So, seeing your creative journey, I decided that, I think you're the best person to jump on this episode because you'll be able to explain the whole process, how you started and how you are able to stay active regardless. Because I know you juggle a lot of things, but still you keep showing up. Even in the littlest opportunity you have, you just keep showing up. So, and that's a lot of problem that so many creatives have now. I want to include myself. So, staying consistent. If not that, I think this year I'm even a lot better because I'm trying to, post at least. I have days when I post this, post that. So, but staying consistent, staying active, maybe moving with the trends, and still maintaining your sanity because it can be so overwhelming sometimes. So how do we deal with all of this and still deliver to our audience? Still, give them what educate, impact people and so on and so forth. So that's what we're discussing today. But firstly, before we go on, just say something to the house. Maybe hello, hi. You can introduce yourself very shortly.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is actually Favor. Ijawele is my brand name. Ijawele is my brand name. So my name is Favor, and I'm a travel blogger by passion, but by profession, I'm a content and communications manager. So, currently I work as a community manager for a health tech company. I recently started that role, and which is even why it's more in time to have this conversation here because it's been a lot.
Exactly.
It's been a lot balancing everything, and I am quite excited to share what has worked for me and what I hope would work for anybody that is looking to balance their creative life and their professional life as well. So,
thank you so much. So we look forward to an amazing episode. Thank you so much, Favor. Anyways, before we delve into the very deep part of this session, I just want you to firstly, explain what you think creativity is to you. Who do you think a creative is? Because I'm sure that a couple of people have had these arguments. In fact, who is a creative exactly? So some people think maybe it's those that maybe put ring light and all of that, use mic, so different definitions for different people. So please, as a creative, what do you think is creativity, and who would you define a creative?
Well, to me, creativity is like basically the ability to create something. That's the short definition. That's what it means. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be a specific type of thing. It could be anything already. And I consider myself a creative, yes, because I create a lot of things. I create stories, I create videos, I create guides, I create articles. And the fact that I can have an imagination and bring that imagination to life already qualifies me as a creative. So anybody that can think up something and actually create something from that
Bring
idea
it to life.
is a creative. So it can be stories, it can be videos, it can be pictures, it can be anything. So for so far that your imagination can come to life, you're already a creative.
Wow, very, very well said. So as far as you're able to bring your imaginations into reality, more like that. So that's who a creative is. Wonderful, wonderful. Very well said. Anyway, so let's delve into the main questions. Now, let's hear some of your insights, your creative process, how you were able to navigate your creative journey, probably how you started and what the journey is like up till now.
All right. Okay, so when it comes to my creative journey, I like to divide it in 4 phases. Yeah. So I have my resting phase, my ideation phase, my creation phase, and the distribution phase. So the resting phase takes this is going to sound funny, but my resting phase actually takes 50% of my creative process. And then the ideation phase takes about 20%, the creation phase takes 20%, and then distribution is like 10%. So first thing I do before I start to create anything is take my time, actually. So this also works because of the type of content I create. As a travel creator, one would think that immediately I return from a trip, I get right into editing videos or writing blog posts and all of that. But that's quite the opposite of what I do. I rest for a long period of time.
So if you follow me closely, that you get your motivation.
What?
I said,
yeah, not like
yes.
That's the time I take to actually let the whole experience sink in. Because if you try to create while on the go, it will lack quality. So you need time to actually take it all in before you start creating. So after my trip, I can take a whole month before I start creating anything from a trip. If you follow me close, you would have noticed that I went to Ibadan. When was it? I even went to, not Ibadan, I went to Badagry last month. I have a couple of contents I need to put out from that trip, but I've not done it yet because I'm still in my resting phase. So I go about weeks, like gathering ideas, forming scripts in my head, finding direction and topics for the blog post before I get into them. And once I'm in, I'm in. For the blog post, I start with keyword research, subheading formation, then I start writing. After writing, I edit pictures and Pinterest cover and upload to the blog. And once I finish the technical part, I hit publish. Then for my videos, on the other hand, I get ideas for the series of videos I want to create from that particular trip I just returned from. So I jot the ideas down so I don't forget. So these are all the things that happen during my resting phase. I jot those ideas down, and then in the same place I jotted them down, I attach the sound I want to use in the video. So we have trending sounds, and we have like general sound that we feel might match with the video that we want to create. So I just research on the sound. Sound is very important. So as much as the video is important, sound is also important. Yes. So I research on my sounds as well. So as I'm resting, I'm also researching. So I research on the sounds I want to use. I attach them to the ideas I have for the content, and then sometimes I go with trending sounds. Sometimes I just use other sounds. Why we use trending sounds so that the video will reach more audience. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I do all these things during my resting phase, by the way. So my creation starts when I start writing the script or the moment I open my video editing app, if I'm not using a script for that particular video. So most times I create in batch, and other times I edit one at a time. I could just edit a video, post it. Tomorrow I'll come back and edit another one, post it. So as I'm posting, I'm distributing it across my other channels. I could share it on Twitter. I could share it other places that the video needs to go into. So that's generally what my creative process is like. There's no there's no particular routine, but I take my resting time seriously, because that's when I get the idea to do all the things I want to do.
So there's resting phase, there's ideation, there's editing, there's distribution, a whole lot of things to consider. But basically, the resting phase is one phase that is really important to you, because that's where you get to think, brainstorm, and deliver quality content.
Yes.
That's a really valid point, because most times when we create things maybe under pressure or under maybe rush or something, sometimes the content might not go as planned. Maybe it's when you're not even watching it, you're not be like, I could have done it this way, You just have tiny regrets up and down, and you're like, anyways, regardless, let us seek it straight up. So we just keep encouraging ourselves, like, anyway, we move. So anyway,
that's not a good way to approach content creation. Yes.
But it's something that happens. A lot of people, when they create content under pressure, then they now use that line of encouragement. Maybe nothing is perfect, just keep on. I'm like, okay. Nice.
People need to understand something. If you're creative, you're creating for yourself. Like, you don't need to put yourself under pressure. You are your own boss. So if anything cannot work for you now, you can push it to tomorrow. Nobody's going to come to your house and flog you. Do you get? If I'm trying to make a video today and it's not coming out very well, I will leave it and I'll come back tomorrow. You will not come to my house and beat me if I don't post it that day. So there is also that it's better to create a quality content than creating quantity that lacks substance. So just take your time. Make sure the content has quality, so you don't deliver something that people will see and just is like, what is this one creating here? What is this thing? So there is also that.
But you know that sometimes maybe what really happens is because they have put out a narrative out there. Maybe every Thursday I'm supposed to post this. Every Friday I'm posting this. And when you're not maybe in the right mental space to create any content, what do you now give back to the audience? Maybe is it advisable that you just put out a note, say, okay, this is happening. I'm currently not in my best place right now. Maybe probably I'll do this, because that really tends to happen, and that's why most people might not be able to deliver quality content because of the I don't know if you understand.
Yes, I understand. Actually, accountability helps a lot. So sometimes I know creatives that they have posting days. For instance, this lady, Cassie Daves, her YouTube, she posts every Saturday. So already every Saturday, I will go to my YouTube to see what she has posted that day. But it doesn't mean that she sticks to that routine all the time. There have been days that she missed posting, and she could show up and tell you, oh, look at what happened, I can't post something today. Some other days she could just leave it like that without saying anything. And the thing is, sometimes, for smaller creators now that are putting themselves under that kind of pressure, sometimes people don't notice that you're supposed to post something today and you didn't show up. Sometimes they don't, and sometimes they do. And maybe when you are able to show up, just show up and tell them, look at what happened. I didn't have light. My device, this happened to my device. That one happened to my device. So nobody's going to come to your house and beat you. It's about the way because of brand image and how you have already established a relationship with your audience. It's that communication part is where that communication part is important. So you can communicate it to them that this is why you can't put up this content on this day. And then you make up for that on the other day that is convenient for you. But putting yourself under pressure to deliver a content because you have already made it marked a particular day to create that content is not advisable. It's not a nice way to approach content creation, because that pressure might make you end up not creating quality stuff. And when you don't create quality stuff, guess who would bash your content? Your audience.
The same people, exactly.
So it's not worth it.
They will drag the hell out of you. Anyways, thank you very much for throwing more light as regards that question. So do you think that creativity is a part of human nature, or is it something that must be nurtured and learned? What's your say about that?
Well, okay. First of all, God Himself is a creator. So, and guess who He created in His image and likeness? You
I
and
am you. Me and you.
I strongly believe creativity is a part of human nature. But like every other thing that is part of human nature, it still needs to be nurtured. Speaking is human nature, but we still learn public speaking, don't we? Eating is human nature, but some of us still have to learn how to eat
properly.
Some people don't even know how to hold fork and knife to eat.
Exactly.
Okay, so everyone has an inherent ability to create. When you learn, you're simply unlocking something that is already there. By nurturing, you are grooming that ability, flexing, experimenting. The more you do, the better you get at it. So yes, I believe creativity is human nature. But being a creative requires learning and nurturing.
Wow, very, very said. Being a creative involves nurturing and learning. So there's nobody that was born, perfect with everything that he or she has now.
Yes. No,
you might have had it,
like hard learning process.
You might have had it, but you still need to nurture it and grow it, up to the current stage or better stage now that is profitable or better for your audience out there.
Yes.
Okay. So what let's now delve into the main, because basically, how do we stay active as creatives? How do you stay motivated and inspired? Maybe sometimes when you feel down, you feel like you don't want to create any content, because the main topic is staying active. So in days on days where you don't stay, you're not motivated, you're not inspired, what do you do about that?
Okay. I'm going to speak for motivation. I'm also going to speak for inspiration because they can mean different things. So, I did something with my travel account on Instagram where I follow mostly accounts in my niche. So this was a strategy I adopted in order to manage the kind of content I see on my feed. So during my resting phase, like I said at the beginning of this session, I consume content. I monitor what others are doing. I pick up trends, both video and audio trends, and then I come up with ideas that can apply to what I'm trying to create. So for inspiration, watching what others are doing helps keep me inspired. So by that inspiration is not, if that inspiration, sometimes that inspiration cannot be enough to motivate you to create. Like you're jotting it down, you have ideas, but how do you idea and bring it to life? That's where you need motivation. So at the start of every quarter, for motivation now, at the start of every quarter, I give myself an OKR, that's objectives and key results. So this is basically everything I am looking to do in that quarter and what results I want to see by the end of the quarter. So my target for this quarter could be to hit 50,000 all-time views on my blog. And how do I get there? That's my objective. So I write them down in sections and subsections so they are easy to follow. This is like setting goals. There's no big deal. The way we set goals every beginning of the year.
Exactly.
So you just don't set goals. You also have like subsections in those goals. Like, how do I do this? Like down processes and everything you need to get done. So my motivation is the result. That target I'm trying to hit. That's what motivates me to actually keep pushing. So if I'm not, I keep pushing until I get there. So to get, let's say I want to get 10K subscribers on my 10K newsletter subscribers, so by the end of next quarter. Next quarter is April, May, June. Let's say by the end of June, I want to have 10K subscribers on my blog. So how do I get there? Number one, post more on the blog. Number two, create magnet. So a lead magnet is basically a product I'm offering users. For them to get it, they'll have to sign up. So I'm taking their email in exchange for that product. So then the third step is to strategically place that on posts that are performing well on the blog. Do you get? Then also encourage subscribers to share newsletters I've sent in the past to their network, so I will get more subscribers. Do you get? So these are small steps, small goals that I have placed under my ultimate goal. That is to hit 10K subscribers by the end of the quarter. So if I'm not motivated on a certain Wednesday in May, and then I remember that I have less than 2 months to hit 10K subscribers. And at the time where I'm not motivated, I have only 2K subscribers. What do? I sit my ass up and get back to work. So when you have a direction, when you have a goal that you're targeting, when you have a target for, and then you set a timestamp for that time, that's your motivation. But if you keep freestyling it, you will barely have any motivation. So it's best to just set a target and then work towards that target, so that you know that when time is running by and you're not doing anything, you're actually sitting there and wasting your time, and your target is not going to be met by the end of the quarter. So that's how I stay motivated.
Okay, very, very, very well said. So, now that you're juggling a whole lot of things, how are you able to, combine everything and still deliver as a travel blogger, still travel to places, create content, and you're also doubling up as a community manager, a communications manager, and I mean, is really, really a whole lot. So how are you able to manage these activities and still stay active as a creative? That's
okay.
Now
So
going down to you as a person.
Yes, and I'm going to speak on this with my own personal experience. So I work in 9 to 5, yeah.
Okay.
And then I work Monday to Wednesdays on site. Thursdays and Fridays I work remotely. Okay. So as a travel blogger, I can work remotely. That's actually the key word here. I can work remotely from Thursday to Sundays. So if I want to travel, and let's say last weekend, I was not in Lagos. I traveled to Ibadan. I went on a trip. On Thursday, I took the train to Ibadan. And right there in the train, I whipped up my laptop and I started working. So I was working on the go. Throughout that trip, I was working. So I'm not going to tell you that I have found a way to balance it or anything. No, I'm working on my trip. So what I try to do in order to not entirely let my work spoil the whole experience for me is to find I try to moderate my sleeping schedule. So most times I just tend to sleep early and wake up earlier to get my whole day's work done for those Thursdays and Fridays that I'm working remotely. So I get my day's work done in the early hours of the morning, and then I also make posts on my work account. So I try to get all those posts ready so that when the time I don't schedule.
You just put them out there.
So when the time comes, I'll just open the app and post the content. Okay. But generally, I try to, whenever I know that I have a trip, I'll try to reduce my workload by working double on the days that I work on site, so that on the days that I work remotely, I will have lesser things to do. Do you understand? I will have lesser things to do. To overwhelm myself with work while on trip. Then when it comes to post-production, like creating content after I am back from the trip. So I also tend to remind myself that I am working 9 to 5. My work time is from 9 to 5. So anything that concerns work, I make sure to finish it at the office. As I'm coming home, I'm picking up on my personal stuff. Okay. So so during my work hours, I focus on work. After work hours, I create content. Do you get that?
Yeah.
So that's how I've been juggling it.
So basically, it's just balancing. I think you're able to strike a balance, and then you figured out that working in the early hours of the day is more, makes you achieve more. And it's true, because if you wake up around maybe 4 or 5, you notice that your brain is so active, and you tend to do things very fast, and you're so articulate, like you're just fast about everything, because once the sun starts, setting, sun start coming in and everything, you just start getting weak. Imagine waking up on a Monday morning and maybe around 12 or 1, and maybe you're feeling sleepy. You're like, I feel like sleeping. So you're just already dull. But if you have not done a lot, maybe during the early hours, you notice that your whole day is almost coming to an end without you actively doing it. Except maybe you're a night scroller and you tend to push everything, at night. But I mean, regardless, I know that night sleep is also important. So even if you want to push everything tonight, try to get some people. So I don't know. Anyways, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, I also
It
wanted
just
to add
depends on
that.
what works for people. Okay, go ahead.
I also wanted to add that work cannot go that smoothly all the time. There will be days where you would need to still carry stuff from the office back to your house and even walk through the night. Do you get? So when these times, I also try to remind myself that I am working for myself. Like content creation, I'm not doing it for anybody. I'm doing it for myself. On the days that it doesn't work for me,
It's not 9 to 5. Exactly.
I don't have posting schedule. I post when I have the time. So on the days that it doesn't work for me, I have people that I'm working for that pay me. Do you get? So on those days, work becomes priority. I just put a hold on content. And sometimes I also, when I have the time, I try to create in batch. Currently, I have like a lot of content I've created that I'm not posting daily. You see me posting daily now, but it's not that I'm creating those content. I've already created them before and then I'm posting them every day.
Exactly.
Yes, I have. So during this time, I am also catching up on work because I still have a lot of things to do. So there will be days that work will try to take most of your time. So what do you do in those times? Just put your content, pause it small. And even if you can't pause it, you can also find small times during the day. If you can check your WhatsApp messages, you can edit a video. That's the simple truth. If you can reply people on WhatsApp, if you can check Twitter, if you can watch TikTok, you can edit a video. True. So just cut down on those small time that you spend in your day. You can use those times to try to do one or two things for yourself. So there is also that part.
Wow. Very, very well said. Okay, so let's talk about rejection. As a creative, has rejection ever affected your creative process? So now, I know that you've been working with a lot of brands. First of all, put us through. How do you get to shoot your shots to these brands as a creative? And if for any reason you get rejected, how does it affect your creative process? Or I don't know if you've ever gotten that before. How did it affect you and how are you able to move on past that and still continue blossoming?
All right. So the first time I pitched to a brand was when I still had less than 100 followers on Instagram. Less than 100. And guess the brand I pitched to?
Which brand?
Piggyvest.
That's nice.
Yes, I pitched to Piggyvest and they responded. So they told me that I think that was around the period that they were sponsoring BB Niger with Pockets. Pockets was sponsoring. So yeah. I figured they had a lot of projects going on at that time, but they responded and they said that the partnership won't work for them at that time.
Okay.
But they will reach out to me later on, although they never did. So I didn't stop. I kept pitching to brands. I kept pitching, even when I still had small following. When I got my first partnership was at, I had barely gotten to 500. I was less than 500 followers on Instagram. I got a partnership with a hotel. So I went for Bole Festival in last year, 2023. And the hotel we stayed in, it was kind of a luxury hotel, a luxury boutique hotel. I stayed in a room that was worth over 100K for 2 nights. Do you understand?
Yes,
it was my audacity that actually got me that, because if I kept telling myself that I have only 100 followers, I should not be followers. Exactly. You're not. Most times, brands are not looking at your audience. Most brands want your content. If you create it, you send it to them, they will use it. That's what they want. They don't want your audience. Do you understand? So when I figured that most times brands don't want audience, I decided to fly with the type of content, like the quality of my content. So I will tell them, see, I'll create this content for you and I will give it to your brand to use it in your marketing, whatever that you're doing. You understand? So I have also gotten a lot of it. I have gotten far more rejections than acceptances. So what I do, I'll give an example because
you still kept
I receive the rejection in a good way, funny enough. So I take every rejection as a motivation to do better, to produce better content. You get? So there was this one time I sent a page to a brand. I had less than 1,000 followers then, and they told me that they weren't open to any campaigns at that time. But when they did, they would sure reach out to me. That was what they said. later I saw their campaigns flying around. Many influencers were then doing what I had told them that I wanted to do for them. I was hot though, but looking at all those influencers, they had one thing in common: a large following. With the size of my audience, I may not have been the right fit for that campaign. You get? So what did I do? I created content consecutively for 30 days, non-stop, just so I could grow my followers. Do you get? So that single rejection pushed me to go on that content creation spree for 30 consecutive days. So instead of taking it as like dwelling on it and feeling bad about it, I took it as a motivation and I created more and created better. So that's how I take rejection. When your time comes, your time will come. So, and besides, you shouldn't, whenever you're pitching to brands, you should always be ready to hear a no. Don't always expect yes. Don't even expect yes at all. It will help you manage the response you get. If they are going to accept you, fine. If they don't, fine, move on. You're not meant to work with every brand out there. Some brands are not even working with that brand at that particular point in time and not even be the best thing for you. There could also be like a better timing in the future for that partnership to happen. So just let it be and move on with the next brand. So that's what I would say.
In other words, just keep showing up. And if for any reason you get rejections, don't see it as maybe setbacks. See it as something to spring you into action. And
there was another instance. There was this event that happened, Influencers Hangout in Owerri. I don't know if you saw the flyer when it was flying out.
Yeah, I did. You and your location girl, Abby?
I didn't go. They invited my friend.
You advertising it with your location girl, right?
No, she was the one advertising it.
Okay.
She was the one advertising it, yes.
But they sent
I
saw it on her.
Yeah. And a couple of other people, and then nobody invited me, and I was now like, Owerri is a small community. The littlest creator would get invited to this kind of things. So, and then I was not invited. I was now feeling bad, like, what happened? Is it that I don't have enough people, or is it that
you're not creating great content?
Do you get? So, but later on, I was now like, if I had been invited, I didn't let it last for long. Like, I was like, even if I was invited at that time, I don't know if it would have been a perfect time for me to network with people, because I wasn't going to be based in Owerri. Like, I was living in Owerri like the next month. And then my audience are not Owerri people, and I don't even create niche content for Owerri. Like, my audience is the whole Nigeria. Do you get? So trying to feeling bad about the fact that I was not invited for something that Owerri creators were being invited for. I just had to show it aside. Like, I should be aiming for a nationwide scale. Do you get? Like, let me be recognized for nationwide events instead of feeling bad about regional events in a region that I don't even function in. Do you understand? So that was what helped me come out of that.
Just move past that stage. Okay. Pretty good. Very, very amazing as well. So before we're almost coming to the end of this session, but before we come to a close, I just want to ask you, what's the story behind Ijeawele? You just run us through your whole story, how you started and what the journey is like. Just briefly. And my last question will be maybe your last words to creatives who are struggling with staying active and all of that. Then we'll call this session a wrap. So go ahead.
So this is a very long story, but I'm going to try and cut it very short. In 2018, 2019, I started writing a book. So it's a series. It's meant to be for children, a wildlife series. So I was supposed to write on different wild animals and like how do I describe it? A coloring book, just like the book I want to use as an instance. I may not even know it's supposed to be like a foreign book, but anyway, it's supposed to be like a book that teaches children about wild animals. So I started with bear. I talked about all the species of bear, where they live, what they eat, and all those things. And then for that kind of book and for the audience I was writing it for, I needed pictures. I needed like imagery for the book. Do you get illustrations? And at that time, I didn't really understand the whole copyright thing with pictures. So I had spoken with people, and they were like, you can't just leave people's pictures and use it and publish a book and commercialize it. Do you get? So I was not like, so how do I get my own pictures then? So I had two options: to get my brother to illustrate the book for me, he's an artist, or to just take my own pictures by myself. Well, what was I going to get pictures of beer by myself? By traveling.
To go and see the bear.
Exactly. What did I do? I went online to search for wildlife reservations, conservations, and zoos and stuff in Nigeria, and people that actually travel to go and see wildlife. That was when I learned about safaris, learned about travel blogging. I didn't know that travel blogging was a thing. So I learned about all these things. And I was like, oh, this is so interesting. So most people I saw were like travel, Nat Geo World, their photographers, and all those people. And I was like, okay, do we have Nigerians who do this type of thing? And I searched for travel bloggers in Nigeria, and I saw them. I went to their blog. I was reading their blog. So in 2020, this one happened. This particular researching on travel started in 2020 during the lockdown. So when I found travel creators in Nigeria, I was like, wow, these people are so good. How are they able to afford to travel? How are they paying for their trips? How are their parents allowing them to travel like that? Because
my dear, very important.
So I reached out to all of them. I reached out to Bill Former. I reached out to Ayode GA. I reached out to Toke. I reached out to a couple of people, and I was asking them, how are you guys able to travel? How many places have you traveled to? How are you able to fund your travel? How do you do this? How do you do that? And they responded. I was like, wow, that's interesting. Then I started watching them, started reading their blog posts. I reached out to Amarachi Ekekwe as well. And Amarachi Ekekwe was one blog that stood out for me because I read most of her content. I read Ufoma's content. I read the source content. I read all of them. I remember that during that 2020 pandemic, we couldn't go outside. Everybody was inside. So, and there was this longing to go outside. And I felt like the longest time to be reading about outdoor activities was in a pandemic. So I was now reading about those things, and I was having this deep longing to go outside and explore. So it's changed from wanting to be a wildlife photographer now to actually wanting to go outside to explore. So that longing kept staying with me until the lockdown was lifted. Immediately the lockdown was lifted, I started exploring places. So I visited museums around me. I went to Umuahia to check out the World Museum of People's Bunker. I started visiting places around me. I didn't make it elaborate because I knew if I make it elaborate, I may not get the permission I needed from my parents to do it. And I didn't even have the money. So I started small. I didn't have devices or anything to create content with. But then I know I wanted to have a blog. I wanted to recreate those experiences that those people have. And when I tell people that, I actually enjoy writing about my experiences more than I live those experiences. They think I am crazy because when you come down and sit this opposite your laptop, type those experiences, it gives you time to actually relive those moments, feel the things that you probably didn't feel while you were experiencing it. So that is when the whole thing sinks deep. Writing is that creation process helps me relive the experience, and it's really, really a wonderful feeling. So I enjoy writing blog posts more than I enjoy visiting those places, right? So I started writing. I started creating content. I didn't have a device. I was using people's phones to take pictures, to make videos and all of that. So, and then I did not have, before when I got a blog name, I was very, very stressed about it. I reached out to a lot of people that I shouldn't even have reached out to, sent them a list of names I came up with and asked them to help me and choose. And everybody was telling me the same thing. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what name you use. What matters most is the kind of content you create. Eventually, your name will stick with people. Even if you use Ekwensu Joronjo, tomorrow people will recognize that name because of your content. Do you understand?
True.
So there are people that their names are not even significant, but because of the kind of content and how their content is always in people's faces, their names stuck with people. So this was what the person that gave me this particular information or that shared this with me was the Ufoma, Jessica Ufoma. You should know her. She told me this, and at the end of the day, your name doesn't matter. It's just the content that you have. So, and then I left, and then I was now talking to my mom about it. My mom was pro use a native name. Use a native name. She recommended some names. She recommended Agaba. Agaba means one that likes walking around a lot. And then later she asked me, what about Ijawele?
Okay.
And then I was like, wow, that sounds nice. I checked it. It was not available. It was not free. Someone has taken it. I was sad for a long time. But then later on, I don't know, for whatever reason, I started to check it again and I checked and it was free. I didn't even wait. Someone had already given me money. Like I had a lot of support system then. I had friends around me that was pushing for this to happen. So someone was like, okay, you know what? This is the money for your domain name. Just get a domain, I'll pay for it. So when I got done, I reached out to the person paid for it. Hosting Uncle, my friend was like, okay, I will host it for you on my website. He hosted it for me on his website. So I had like people around me to help me get this started. I started my blog with my phone. I bought the domain, designed my website with my phone, wrote my first couple of posts with my phone. I did everything on my phone. I did not really wait for a laptop or anything to come. I did every single thing on when I launched my blog in October 2021. I launched it on my phone. Everything was on my phone. So when people like try to tell you that they don't have enough resources to get started on something, like, bro, work with what you have. However it is, I started with nothing. I didn't have a good phone till like 2022.
Exactly.
So, but still, I put out stuff. I was creating content. Whenever I want to travel, I'll drag one of my friends. Every expense will be on me. Just come with me. I'll pay for your transport. I'll pay for your stuff. They will come. I will use their phone. They will send their stuff
use
to me.
your phone. True.
You get. So that was how I started, and that was how it has been until I got my own gadget. I've been using my phone since then. It was just this year that I got a tripod, and I've not even used it before. I've never used a tripod before. I got a mic. You too, right? I saw your
just got my mic, my tripod. Yeah, so my dear.
So it doesn't matter.
That day now that you reached out to me, and you were like, "Nee, okay, based on maybe I'm doing podcast. Okay, hi, Nee, please can we borrow your mic?" I said,
"Mic, yes."
They don't know. They don't know that I don't have mic.
I was surprised. I was like, how did I record your stuff?
My friend, my dear, with my phone on one name, I'll lock myself inside one kind of room. That's in my room. Then use my duvet, stuff everywhere. That's heat between me. My sister will say, "Chinada, please don't talk." In fact, she almost like death sentence because she will not be able to talk. Nothing. She will stay there. If I have guests, me and the guests will be in that room. We will stay like that though. I'm telling you. When I use my phone and not take the phone, they must say, "Okay, take the mic." So I'm looking back and I'm laughing, but I'm like, if I did not go through all these ways, maybe I would have not even, appreciated my journey.
Appreciated your journey, exactly. That's very true.
So
that's
true.
Very true.
But if you can get it maybe at that's first hand or whatever, that's fine. But if you don't have it yet, that's not enough reason for you to not even create content or do what you always wanted to do. That's not even an excuse. So I love the fact that you hammered on that part. Start with what you have. Use what you have to get what you want. That's the slogan.
There was this video I did. One video I did last year. I was recording a voiceover for that video. Everywhere was so noisy. I was staying with someone at that time, so she had like her family over. Everyone was so noisy, but I needed to record that audio there. So I went to the staircase to record the voiceover, and you know how staircase can, there is usually echo in the staircase. So I just worked with it like that. At least it was quiet. Yeah. So I created the video like that. There, I posted it. Someone that came to the comments, I was like, "Did you record this voiceover in the toilet?" I was like, "Wow."
Hey, whoa.
Wow. Inside the comments, I was crushed. I wanted to delete that video, but I was like, I will not delete it. I will leave it there. At least when I start telling my story, I will have pointers like, look at this video. When I recorded this video, I did it in the staircase, and I did not have a mic then. I worked with what I have until I just got a mic ending of last year. How many times have I used the mic? How many times? So eventually, if your mind is there, you work with what you have.
Exactly. Very, very beautiful points coming from EJ, the one and only EJ Awele. Anyways, let's just call the session a wrap. I mean, it has been amazing. Thank you for sharing your your habits and some things that help you stay active, stay inspired, and stay motivated as a creative. Thank you for telling us your own routine, how you're able to balance and juggle lots of activities while doing a 9 to 5 and doing other things for yourself. You're still able to create time, do content. And there's one statement you made. You said, if you can have time to read that message on WhatsApp, then you can edit that video. And
Yes,
then
ma'am.
you can also batch create. You don't have to wait for when maybe it is due. So if you have any time, you can batch create content. Just maybe use a day and then create as much as you can. Let's just remain that is okay. Maybe editing left. And then any little time, just keep on editing, chipping in one thing or the other. And before you know, all your videos will be edited. So I really appreciate it. The role of rejection, how rejection should not be setbacks, but instead should be springboards for more actions, for more opportunities, and for good work, for excellent work. Yeah, so a lot was also said about that, and then your whole Ijawile journey, how you got your name, and how basically your whole process. And I'm so happy to hear all of that. So before we conclude, do you just mind saying something to any creative out there that is listening to this podcast on maybe anybody that is facing any challenge or staying consistent, staying active, and dealing with the pressure basically on social media? How do you keep your head focused? Focus on you. Just face your content, my dear sister or my dear brother. How do you stay? So what's your advice for them? How are they able to deal with the pressure coming from social media, and some challenges and all of that? Just maybe any last words or advice or encouragement to anybody listening.
Okay, I will wrap it up with just one advice. Okay, so when you're feeling inactive, don't force it. Don't make any conscious efforts to stay up to speed. It can work for you, but you might end up creating works that lack quality. So take that time to feed your mind. Read books, watch movies, listen to music, watch other creators, network with people, go outside, take pictures, shoot videos with no intention of making content out of the videos. Do you get? Do everything but create. When you've had enough of all these things, get back up and start creating. Do you get? You will notice how effortlessly your creative juices will flow. Instead of forcing yourself to come out of creative block or anything that is holding you back, use that time to recharge yourself. Use that time to gather ideas. Use that time to just rest. But you need rest. You need to refuel. Yes, you need to recharge. So take that time off and inspire yourself. Feed your mind. If you don't feed your mind, it will be difficult for your mind to feed you. So always always pour in on the times that you can't pour out. So that's my advice.
Very, very well said. Always pour in on the times you cannot pour out. Feed your mind so that you can feed out. I don't know anything about that feeding and feed out. But anyways, regardless, thank you so much, Ijawile. Guys, you are talking to somebody that is a Pulse collaborator. Pulse Nigeria. I don't know why she did not mention that part. This is a big girl. So please, when this podcast is out, I beg, Ejo, listen, go and stream, download, Joe, because Ijawile has really shared her journey, and how she didn't let a lot of things limit her or stand as setbacks to her. So she's currently a Pulse collaborator. If you check Pulse Nigeria, you'll be seeing her. You'll be seeing where two of them did collaboration things. So check her out. And she also has a blog, Ijawile blog. She's also on Instagram. She's a travel blogger, just like she said. Is also Ijawile on Twitter, Instagram, where again, TikTok.
The blog is Ijawile. Yes.
Okay. So everybody go and look for Ijawile. Please, next time, if you're traveling and I'm around that side, people carry me.
No problem. You ain't so.
So Wahala, thank you so much. I really had a swell time conversing with you.
Me too.
Have a wonderful.
You should do more of this.
My dear, yes, so one name.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of self-development and growth. Remember that your journey is your own, and every step you take is a step towards your unique emergence. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Remember, your feedback means the whole world to us. Stay connected with us on all our social media handles at the Cast with Naya podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Until then, keep emerging, keep growing, and keep shining bright.